Greetings, friends. It's Chapo, Monday, April 25th, and we're back again. Today we are returning to, a topic, a thread that runs throughout the course of our show. That's right. We're back at the movies, but we're talking about religion, God at the movies. And today we are considering a film that asks the important questions about man, faith, his relationship to God, and why does the Almighty give his most brutal car accidents and incurable diseases to his strongest soldiers? That's right. Hello, Mutta. Hello, Father Stu. We're talking about the Mark Wahlberg masterpiece, Father Stu. Hello, Mutta. Hello, Father. Here I am at Camp Torquemada. The Catholic Church is at the movies, folks. And I'll say, just right off the bat, say what you will about the Catholic Church. They make better movies than evangelicals.
No, they
Joining
don't.
us for the
No.
I'm going to have to disagree with you there.
Joining us for this discussion into faith and the cinema is, of course, Matt and Felix, as always. But joining us today, the Pot About List boys. How's it going, gang?
Hi. It's good. I'm feeling full of belief. I'm ready.
Mm-hmm. This movie taught me, what happens when you risk it all for a thick Latina.
Yeah, I have a lot of comments on this movie, but first I'm going to take issue with the idea that Catholics make better movies than evangelicals. Evangelicals are always trying to make one of two movies. They're either trying to make Armageddon or they're trying to make You've Got Mail. Like they're trying to make a meet-cute romantic comedy about two people avoiding hell, or they're trying to save the world. Catholics have some like artsy bullshit thing in them where they're trying to make like You Can Count on Me or some other early 2000s indie boom film starring Mark Ruffalo. The last quarter of this movie was excruciating. It was essentially a whispercore indie film about a man with Catholic ALS who the longest last 5 years of his life ever. I've never seen a worse advertisement for Catholicism for Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg and his thick Latina co-star, they had the chemistry of a Grubhub driver and a doorman who don't share a common tongue. This was a wretched film, and I will be awarding the titles of Wardens of the Faith to the Protestants after this.
Okay, I understand what you mean, Felix. This was a chore to get through, but also Catholics, they will put some swear words. They'll put some spice in. I give them that at least. It was
a complete chore, but luckily me and Cameron saw it at AMC. So Ryan Reynolds' Aviation Gin got us through the brunt of the first half of the movie.
I saw this with my mom at a Cineplex. I think it was called Cinemark. I had one Voodoo Ranger, and then I fell asleep.
Well, that is how they intend you to see this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You either have to be drinking or 100 years old to truly enjoy it to the fullest.
Either way, you will be nodding off in the theater. I disagree. I give this movie 5 bags of communion wafers. It was a journey of faith and suffering that, the message in the movie is that suffering brings you closer to Jesus Christ. And watching the movie certainly brought us all closer to God. But, this is
true. It makes you feel it. It's like just being there and listening to him.
Yeah.
Know what Christ's torments of the cross were like.
I mean, yeah, walking out of that theater, I definitely felt like I was 2 hours closer to heaven, for sure.
This is obviously a very personal movie for Mark Wahlberg. It's a great platform to launch the Hallow app, the Catholic meditation app that you can download on your phone and get daily devotionals from Mark Wahlberg. That will definitely bring you closer to God, as we'll see in this movie. Also featured in this movie is, of course, Mel Gibson. Probably Hollywood's most famous Catholic. And this movie, I don't know if you guys know this or not, is directed and written by Mel Gibson's girlfriend.
Yes.
Oh,
really? Oh my
Yep.
God.
Damn.
So this is like these are two prominent men of the Catholic faith who have suffered, they've suffered the anguishes of this fallen world of sin. They've been punished. They've been brought low. Mark Wahlberg for blinding that Vietnamese man, and Mel Gibson for the "Ard by a pack of ends" phone call. But no matter how low you fall, you are never far from God's grace. As as Father Stu says in the movie, you don't need a prison guard's approval to talk to God. He'll always pick up the phone.
Well, I think the redemption is in and of the movie itself. Mel Gibson's girlfriend now, instead of that awful thing he said on the phone call all those years ago, his girlfriend is helped by a wild pack of key grips. See how things can change?
Let's dive into the film itself because I don't know how you guys felt, but I thought it was
very brave.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
very brave of Mark Wahlberg to face his biggest fear, becoming fat.
He goes. Oh, I gotta say, he goes the raging bull route at the end of this movie. That was really his soft.
Really, I assumed it was a fat suit.
No,
I thought they white clumped his ass.
It looks like prosthetics.
I'm talking about wait, the scene where he's on the toilet, and, like, can't take a shit, like with his man boobs and his just flabby, saggy body.
Like prosthetics.
That neck thing he had.
The neck.
It seemed like they put padding.
They always fuck up the
gave him
neck.
fat fingers at the end.
His face, it looks like he got stung by a bee when you first when he's first walking around with the crutches.
Me and Cameron were really losing our minds at just how fat they decided to make him.
It was
for
crazy.
No reason.
We were talking about it like it's not like, if the real guy got fat or whatever, it's not like anybody would watch that movie and be like, well, he's not fat enough at the end. This isn't realistic.
We were
they disrespected him so hard. He could have just
nobody knew the real story. And then secondly, nobody gives a fuck how fat he is.
You could have just kept
in every scene, he just gets fatter and fatter.
And he keeps falling over.
That is really the only thing you keep with you about this guy who's a real guy is, he got fat as shit.
That's it. But like, maybe to godless pagans like you, like you're like, oh, who would know Father Stu? But like this is a little Easter egg for the fans out there, the Father Stu heads out there, who would question,
crew.
like, the Stu crew. Why?
I'm part of the Stu crew now.
Why he's suffering from ALS? Why is he still so chiseled?
Mm-hmm.
I think that
he still has perfect cheekbones.
It's unnecessary because most people who see this movie in earnest, like, they are more likely to believe that Mark Wahlberg really died. That this happened to him. This is a recording the last 5 years of his life.
I would say this movie is a perfect example of how the myths of the Catholic Church have just gotten so dog shit. Because it used to be about miracles and stuff, and then in this movie, he's visited by Mary and Jesus, and Mary's like, you can't die yet. God has a big plan for you. And
that guy was supposed to be Jesus?
And then the plan is that he gets a 38 BMI. And that's literally that's all he does the rest of the movie after that point.
Yeah, he's visited by like Lin-Manuel Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who also he's like his face is fucked up.
It's Freddy Krueger Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the Christ. We're jumping ahead here, but the Christ scene is awesome because, like, Christ sees him drink 97 beers and is like, by the way, don't drive tonight. And it's like, oh, that has to be a force of the supernatural. That has to be a manifestation of Jesus Christ. How else would he know that he would be hit by a car tonight?
We will get to Father Stu's encounter with, as you said, Cameron, Freddy Krueger Jesus. But, let's go through the movie, from the beginning. This is a tale. This is like a guy from a hard scrabble background, a former boxer who moves out to L.A. to become an actor and then immediately gets slutted out by Hollywood sickos. We can talk about that. But let's just talk about, I thought it was an interesting choice in this movie to have the very first scene in the movie be a drunk Mel Gibson watching a boy in underwear dance to Elvis.
It doesn't.
He says something about peanut butter sandwiches to him.
He
warns him he's going to get fat at the beginning.
No, he warns him he's going to get constipated. He won't be able to shit.
Well,
which also happens.
If you eat too much peanut butter, you will get constipated like Elvis did. So you got to eat vegetables.
No, it's the opening scene.
He became a vegetable.
It's a premonition. I love the lore of Father Stu.
Yeah. The very first scene of the movie is, Father Stu as a child dancing in his tighty whities to Elvis in front of his dad, played by Mel Gibson, who's just like firmly planted in like a Barca lounger, just like polishing off his 12th Coors Light of the night, sucking back a pack of Marlboro Reds, and he's just going, "You ain't shit. You'll never be shit. If you don't eat vegetables, you'll never shit again, boy." and then it jumps ahead in time, and then we see Father Stu as a rough, unfinished young man who's trying to make a go of it as a boxer. This is the first of many incidents of brain damage being inflicted on him before he decides to become a priest.
Yeah,
The very first shot we have of Wahlberg is him punching a black guy.
Yeah, it's literally some montage of him beating up guys of different ethnicities, just brutally.
Do you think? Okay, maybe if woke PC culture didn't step in, do you think those would have all been white guys?
I think that the boxing is like both the least important part of the story, but the most important thing towards getting this movie made. Like, I don't think Wahlberg does this if the character doesn't have a boxing backstory. And I think, like, if you made a movie where Wahlberg has to play Muhammad Atta, he would do it if you, like, made up a story where he was in Golden Glove. It's like if he could pretend to be a boxer, he'll play any character in the world.
I think boxing is very important to this movie too, Felix, because I think for the people who made it, Mel Gibson, his girlfriend, Mark Wahlberg, and the Holy Spirit, the existential question or problem that this movie seeks to address, I truly believe, is what does the church have to offer heterosexual men?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is sort of a fear. This is an unspoken fear in the movie. And it's why Father Stu is an inspirational story. Because it's like, oh, here's a guy who's not a pussy or so deep in the closet, you can find ice skates back there with him, that he can come to Christ and become a priest and do the rituals and say the words. And it has something to offer guys who initially become Catholic because they're trying to get pussy.
Yeah.
Wait, say which words, because this is a Wahlberg movie.
Wahlberg does overcome, or Father Stu, he overcomes so many gay guys who attack him emotionally in this movie.
Every villain in this movie is gay.
Yeah. The first scene when he's going into the fucking grocery store or whatever, and he just immediately is like he gets checked out by a trans woman. He's like, what? That got a big laugh in the theater I was in New Hampshire.
Young Stu, we see a montage of him legally assaulting other races of people in the boxing ring, but he beats them. He has his victories against other races, but unfortunately his boxing career is cut short because some bitch ass doctor says if you keep doing this, it's going to kill you. Because he's like, it's like Stu, you're 40 years old. Like you got to have to stop taking blows to the head. I don't know. He's supposed to be like 30 in the movie.
He's supposed to be 30, and like honestly, that kind of works. It's like this is a 30-year-old. Boxing is bad for you. He looks not a day over 50 in this.
Yeah, Stu is a 30-year-old, 49-year-old prospect and a 270-pound, 156-pound fighter. It's sort of a quantum problem that makes you believe in the miracles of Catholicism.
So, boxing career cut short. His mom, played by Jackie Weaver, says, hey, why don't you get a job on an oil rig? And he's like, I can't do that blue-collar bullshit. I'm going to move to Hollywood and become an actor, As you do, like the only thing that's a longer shot than becoming a championship boxer past your 30s is becoming a working actor. But Stu, he doesn't want a real job. He wants to be, he wants an easy job. And I really think that early on, his desire to be an actor is very much connected to his desire to be a priest. Because let's be honest, he doesn't want a real job. He does not want he doesn't want a 9 to 5.
Says, I don't want to do some blue collar shit.
Yeah.
This is the quest to avoid honest work, which I honestly really related to.
Mm-hmm. Where is this supposed to take place? Because for the first,
I think it's Montana.
Yeah,
which his decision to do a twangy Southern accent is so baffling.
He said one word that sounded like Southern, and I was like, "Oh, this doesn't take place in Boston."
Yeah, it weirded me out. I'm so used to him doing a Boston accent that I I still thought it took place in Boston for the first 10 minutes or so.
He's like, where the fuck did you put my spittoon?
Yeah, his accent, he's attempting a southern accent in Helena, Montana, but like if evil Eric Alper put a gun to my head and played that voice for me and was like, what region is that accent from? I would say lone survivor of a car accident.
Yeah, he sounds like he's undercover. He does a really bad job of this movie.
Yeah.
Another important thing about Father Stu's backstory is, of course, that the tragic death of his younger brother, who he describes as going to sleep to take a nap and never waking up when he was like 7 years old. So he already has a tortured relationship with faith in God, which is demonstrated by him getting drunk, visiting his brother's grave, and then punching a statue of Jesus Christ in the face and hurting his hand very badly before being arrested for resisting arrest. This is one of many DUIs and resisting arrest charges that Father Stu has to take on his road to Golgotha.
I love when he like is visiting his dead brother's grave or whatever. And they show kind of, it's like one of those things where it's kind of a flashback, but like the brother's like talking to him or whatever. And I think it's the only thing that the dead brother says in the movie. But he's like, "You're basically better than me in every way. You're the better brother."
Our kid died.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Dude, I thought when the Jesus guy shows up at the bar, I thought that was supposed to be his brother. I couldn't figure out.
What are you? You are so. What is wrong with you?
He looks exactly like Jesus.
I don't know. I thought it was supposed to be his brother grown up. I couldn't follow this fucking movie at all.
Oh my
I didn't understand
God.
a goddamn thing that was happening in this fucking movie.
This is the most straightforward, boring movie I've ever seen. Literally nothing happens. How could you be confused about what was going on?
I told you I had a voodoo ranger.
This movie is in the first 5 minutes of this movie, there are two flashbacks that, like, really the only reason you would need for them to do flashbacks is to, like, establish that Stu was once a child. It's like a hallmark of stupid filmmaking.
So Stu, sort of like against his mother's wishes, who warns him about going to Hollyweird, California, because she says it's full of communist fascists and hippie communist fascists, and you won't fit in there, Stu. But Stu, like when his doctor says, like, if you take another blow to the head, you could die. He's like, fuck that shit. I never back down from a fight. I've been fighting my whole life. I'm gonna keep fighting. I'll die fighting. So he takes that same gumption and get all out resolve and takes it with him to Hollywood, California to become a movie star. And like I said, he is immediately basically Me Too'd by a guy who wants him to, like, I don't know, hold a sign on Hollywood Boulevard or something.
It's an attempted Me Too because it's the same thing, the same Mark Wahlberg thing as he has with 9/11, where he heard the Me Too stories and he was like, well, if I was there, completely differently.
That is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And it's very funny from the point of view of the Me Too guy, who's this pencil-necked casting director or something. And he's like, well, what'll you do for the part? And he's not talking to some 19-year-old twink. Like, this is a rough trade ass looking Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
But you're really rolling the dice here, man.
Yeah, a guy way bigger than him. He's just
who has like Puerto Rican guy's blood on his knuckles.
Yeah.
while
Also,
he's
he
doing
came
it.
in and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm auditioning because I'm a violent boxer who's killed everybody I fought."
Yeah. So he stands up. He stands up to Hollywood sickos. But that he bides his time working at the meat counter of a supermarket. Very, very, very much, I think, a tribute to Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler.
Indeed, yes.
He's packing meat for people, and that's where he gets his first sort of Saul on the road to Damascus moment. He's struck by the blinding light of a really hot Latina, and then he immediately begins to, like, stalk her. And the way into this woman's heart, of course, like all hot Latinas, is the Catholic Church. And he starts showing up at her church to, like, ask her on a date. And, like, that's his first... I mean, I interpreted this movie as like him going to like church on Sunday to try to get a date with this woman is like the first time his character has even heard of Christianity.
Yeah, he's like a pre-Christian, like pagan savage. Like he was raised under Varg's religion of worshiping trees in Lord of the Rings.
Was it like when one of like the Frankish kings was first told the story of Jesus Christ? Like after he had converted, he was just like, if I had 30 of my brave Frankish warriors with me, we would have killed the entire Roman Empire. It was the RX nephew thing. Why didn't no one jump out? They could have helped him. They could have helped him in Jerusalem. And this is very much Father Stu's attitude. I mean, he's just like, he goes to her because he wants a date. He wants a date. But his standing up to Me Too sickos, that does not prevent him from getting a nationally televised commercial spot advertising some sort of mop on television. So, like I said, he's got a can-do attitude, and despite his obvious lack of talent and social skills, it's a lesson here. Just like when people tell you no, just like for a date, for becoming a priest, for being an actor, just keep going with it. Just don't take no for an answer. And he perseveres. He perseveres in getting a date. He perseveres in getting on TV, and eventually he will persevere in becoming a priest.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts when he goes to the church for the first time is that he meets a guy named Ham.
Yeah, the first black guy he's never punched in the face, and he becomes his closest confidant.
Confidant, but then any time that he can in the movie, he brings up the fact that he's black.
Yeah. Which is like, dude, it's like, way crazier that his name is Ham.
Yeah. There's a scene in the movie where they're playing like, I don't know if I'm skipping ahead too much, but they're playing basketball, and he's just like, bro, I'm out of shape, and you're black.
It is wild. He goes, when he meets him, he goes, Ham, and he's like, Ham, and he's like, yeah, it's from the Bible, and it's like, yeah, that's like the guy who got cursed. Like that's what like slave owners used to claim. Like, well, yeah, black people they got the curse of Ham on them, and he's like, yeah, that's me.
Ham, yeah.
I'm a ham who got cursed.
Yeah, it is so
We're
funny.
the
There's one
sons of
point.
the hams you couldn't curse.
There's one point later in the movie too where like Ham calls somebody and leaves a voicemail on the answering machine. It's like, "Hey, this is Ham." I would save that voicemail forever.
Mark Wahlberg's black friend.
I've got these are my black friends. These are my black friends, hamburger and fries.
Oh, maybe it was short for hamburger. That makes more sense.
Yeah. He's Hamburger Jr.
Yeah.
So basically, Father Stu's indoctrination into the Catholic Church is at the hands of, like I said, this nice Mexican woman who he has fallen for, and like she's the one that's going to take him into being like a good. And but she says her parents can't date anyway. He says she can't date anyone who's not baptized. So he's like, I'll do that shit right now. Get the water, he thinks he's like, I'll drink the bottle of water right now. I love water. I love being hydrated. Give it to me.
The part where he like meets her family is so awesome, dude.
Oh,
it's just like the dad just giving him nothing, dude. But then he has that one magic line, and he just makes the dad laugh, and he's about to eat that girl's pussy. It's so awesome.
Yeah, the dad is like, where I come from, people crawl on their hands and knees for miles to like, kiss the feet of the statue of the Holy Virgin de Guadalupe or whatever. And Mark Wahlberg zinger to like, just put this nice Catholic family at ease that he's not just some ex-boxer wannabe actor shithead who's trying to, desecrate their daughter's purity for his own lustful ends. Is that he says, it's a good thing my house has carpeting. And then it's just like awkward silence, and then the dad's like, you got me. You disarmed me completely, Stu.
Father Stu really has a way with words. At one point I remember he says, "I'm not gay and God's not a gangster," and that line really stuck with me.
Stu has like the patter and outward narration of his own life, very similar to Walt Tremblay of E1.
It's not all hot Mexican women and fun on the road to becoming a Catholic, because there are people who stand in your way. And I want to talk about my favorite character in this movie. the antagonist to Mark Wahlberg's hip priest, the gay priest. And like, like when he's trying to be baptized and like join the faith and then join the priesthood, he is sort of beset at every step by this very like kind of persnickety, finely combed hair, if you know what I'm talking about. Just sort of like kiss ass wannabe Catholic who
It's a Draco Malfoy priest.
He has like perfect porcelain skin, big dick sucking lips. He's a clear gay villain.
And he's a nerd. Like he doesn't have, Wahlberg. He's just going with it. He's just riding Jesus's vibe. But this guy's over there. He's not playing basketball. He's fucking reading the goddamn books all the time.
And like as Father Stu says to his antagonist, he says like even God doesn't like a kiss ass, and it's like yeah, that's right. Like who are God's strongest warriors? Is it the people studying the book all the time, or is it the men who are in the world? Who have the blood of Puerto Ricans on their hands and are seeking to deflower nice Mexican women.
The men brave enough to fall over on every single floor and surface they possibly can.
Brave enough to play pickup basketball against a black guy.
Named Ham.
That's exactly what Saul of Tarsus was like, though. He was constantly getting into horse crashes. He was pursuing a thick by the standards of the first century Jewish woman. He was sort of the Father Stu of his time. I think that's what they're implying here.
So it's going well. It's going well for Father Stu on his road to getting in the pants of this nice Catholic girl. But he gives up alcohol for Lent. He gets baptized. He becomes a Catholic. But his first sort of hurdle he has to clear, the first problem is that when he goes to confession for the first time, he doesn't really cotton to it. He doesn't like the idea of asking for forgiveness for things he's done wrong. So he sort of rebels against it, and then after giving up booze for Lent, he immediately goes to a bar and is like is just downing liquor. And this is where he encounters his Jesus Christ moment, where it's like previously like every person who's talked to him at a bar, he has immediately gotten into a fist fight with.
Yeah. He gets into at the beginning of the movie. He fights a guy for what?
And
does a woman talk to him?
That was so odd.
I wrote this down because like the sound mixing in this scene is unusually bad. Like it's worse than in the rest of the movie.
I couldn't understand what was being said.
I couldn't understand it, but I tried to. I tried to write down. I tried to write down what he says because there's a woman who's kind of implied to be like either a Virgin Mary or Mary Magdalene figure who's nice to him, but she's also implied to be a sex worker. And he says something to her that's like, a million guys could play a role, but I bet you're a woman who takes a guy and makes him $1. Like it was something that incomprehensible. I had to write it down like from memory just because it was like, what the fuck was that? Like the combination of the sound mixing and the accent, and then some other guy like says like, oh, I bet she could make $1 because she's a hooker, and Wahlberg beats the shit out of him and is arrested for the 50th time in 20 minutes.
Also, that guy who talks to him in the bar talks shit. They cloak his face in darkness like he's gonna be like Iron Man at the end of the Hulk movie, but he's nobody. They just don't show his face.
Yeah, a very strange choice.
That honestly is what it's like. It's like they just blacked out his entire face.
It was the devil.
They couldn't afford another black actor.
So he's back in the bar again. He's fallen off the Lenten wagon, having a drink. And then, like, the guy sitting next to him at the bar, he's gaunt. He has long hair, a beard, and, has some hard miles have been ridden over his face, quite literally. Like, his face looks like
tattoos, too?
No, his face looks burned. Like, he looks like a burn victim or something.
It's cystic acne, Jesus.
Yeah. This teenage Jesus. Oh, God, I hope you're going to study your scriptures. Oh, jeez. I don't know how they let me into the bar. Oh, God.
So the burn victim Jesus is sitting next to him at the bar, and then immediately begins like sort of telling him knowing wisdom about his life, about how the problem for tough men is that, like, you know, when they're held to account for their actions, or they're made to ask for forgiveness, the first several times they encounter it, they feel rage. And, like, that's the rage you're feeling now. But, like, the first time they really, like, let it into their heart, they feel relief. And then Wahlberg's like, don't talk to me. I'll fucking kill you. And then he's just like, okay, all right, just don't drive home tonight. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And then he's just like, yeah, what the hell was that guy drinking? And the bartender's like, water, brother.
Yeah, I needed a line there where the bartender's like water, and then Mark Wahlberg's like, but it looked like wine or something like that.
Yeah, water, holy water. Oh, it was Jesus. Oh,
Yeah.
Look, if he did, he probably wouldn't have gotten on that bike. Also, when did he get a bike? I thought he had like some fucking.
he got a bike after he can't get
He
into
got a
his
bike
dad's
after
car.
his car got impounded. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
right. And then he gets into a fight with his dad.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
a fucking-
I skipped over that part. Because he has a DUI and his license has been revoked and his car is impounded, he tries to. The first time his dad, Mel Gibson, re-enters his life is when he shows up at the job site he's working at to try to steal his pickup truck. And, you know, like, they have some. You know, this is not exactly a very good father and son relationship. And, you know, really a lot of the emotional heft of this movie is really, it's about Mel Gibson. It's not about the real father and son here is not God and Jesus Christ. It's Mel Gibson and Father Stu. But, you know, rather than letting his son be martyred on the cross to redeem the sins of all humanity, Father Mel Gibson won't even let his son steal his pickup truck to go to an audition. And...
Yeah, they get into this argument on the job site, and I feel like there is like a dare by the screenwriters to see like how many times they could say retard in a scene.
Someone's got to do it.
Mel Gibson's character says retard quite a bit in this movie. He's a surly old man. You know, he doesn't suffer fools lightly, and you know he all he wants to do is just work a job and then come home every night to his trailer and get blackout drunk by himself watching like Milton Berle reruns.
Yeah,
on
what the
his
fuck?
shitty-
What the fuck? How does he still have like? It's supposed to take place in like '95, but he's watching like a black and white TV still. Like,
Not just watching a black and white TV. He's watching
sold
like
him a-
TV signals from the 1950s are still being transmitted to his trailer park.
His trailer's on Mars, and they're just now getting those.
They sold him a special TV that only broadcasts things before Plessy versus Ferguson. They're like, you're looking for the racist TV. Okay.
So he doesn't get his dad's pickup truck, and his own car has been impounded out of just seemingly he stole someone else's motorcycle. He's, as one does, riding a motorcycle home, blinded drunk after encountering Jesus Christ in a bar. And what do you think happens? Yes, that's right. A fucking hardcore motorcycle accident. He goes over the hood of a car, rolls about 30 yards, and then another car drives over him.
It's so crazy.
Just
dude.
ragdolls his fucking body.
man.
When that happened in the theater, I was caught so off guard, and I laughed so hard that I literally involuntarily threw my phone into the air, and it like flipped the air of the
threw it.
theater.
I was losing my mind.
It was crazy.
So he's lying on the asphalt, like just fucking like half the bones in his body shattered, just fucking like in a daze. And what does he experience? That's right, a vision of the Holy Virgin Mother caressing his head and saying, "Don't die, Father Stu. There's still so much more you have left to do. There's still so many more DUIs you can get." And yeah, like this is his, this is the real come to Jesus, because up until now he had just been getting baptized to like get laid, but now that he's had a serious life threatening accident, then he's like the Catholic light goes off in his head, but not before he does deflower his girlfriend and desecrate her vows to the church in front of God. But to be fair, it was her who pushes it on him.
And he feels bad afterward.
Yeah.
He's got to go confess it.
And that's his first true confession, is like he feels guilty for letting his girlfriend have sex with him because, he wants to marry him. And,
that confession seems more like a brag.
Yeah, it's kind of like St. Augustine's Confessions.
Yeah, he's like, yeah. Let me tell you about the wild, dope ass life I had in Hippo before I found God. I was like, dude, Saint Augustine, he got so much pussy before giving it all up.
Saint Augustine was doing Eiffel Towers 1900 years before they built the Eiffel Tower. My favorite. I had to
one
read.
day they're going to build something to memorialize this.
I like that. This is an aside, but Augustine, the closest real life figure to Father Stu. There's a lot of stuff about him fucking, like he fucks several married women, and then he's like, and then the worst thing, I saw these pears on a tree and I just took them. Confessions is a great book.
That's actually the next up for Mel Gibson, Mark Wahlberg, and Mel Gibson's girlfriend. It's the Augustine Hippo Origins.
Yeah, I mean, any way that they can do like just dirty grandpa but make it Catholic, I think they will.
So Father Stu has been, humbled both physically and spiritually, and after he fucks his hot Mexican girlfriend, who he's been trying to for half the movie, he feels guilt for maybe the first time in his life, and he confesses his sin, and then he like, okay,
Father,
Carmen,
I killed the pussy too good.
The movie is about Father Stu's, his Christ-like tribulations on the way to becoming a priest and all the things that he had to suffer to, come to Jesus Christ. I truly think the person who suffered most in this movie is Carmen, the girlfriend character.
Man, she gets so bad.
Because, not only did she, sin before God and had sex with her boyfriend before marriage, only, with the, classic Catholic girl strategy of, giving him a little taste, but just be like, once you bought in, you really gotta marry me. But this is what you have to look forward to. So you gotta a little give and take here,
Free sample.
So he takes her out to a nice lunch, and he's like, "This is the first place you ever told me you believed in me." And she's like beaming. She's like, "Yes, this is why you brought me here. All right, gonna see that ring." And then he's like, "I gotta tell you something. I'm thinking of becoming a priest. I'm joining the priesthood." She's like, "What? You motherfucker. You absolute piece of shit. You worm your way into my fucking pants with this religious devotion, and now you're going to use that same religious devotion to just, I don't know, deflower me, throw me in the gutter, and take a fucking vow of celibacy for the rest of your life, you fucking asshole." And then he's just like, "It's hard for me too. Trust me." But yeah, no, Carmen, God, really, just she is the one who most nobly suffers in this movie.
Stu becomes a priest to try and escape her.
Well, that's what I say. It has to be that, because they don't. Besides the accident, they don't show him having any actual spiritual connection or kind of reason to become a priest. So
it's either brain damage or
he's trying to get away from this bitch so hard.
I think it has to be that.
Yeah.
Because he didn't. I don't think that Stu knew that was Jesus. I think he just thought it was an ugly guy.
No,
I don't think he knew that he was having a spiritual.
And he
experience.
thought Mary was like the fucking the mango stand lady.
Yeah. Yeah.
They do make the mango. Mary look exactly like Carmen, though.
I don't think they do.
I know what you're talking about.
I did not notice that either, Patrick.
Interesting.
Maybe I was just tired.
I'm sure it was you being tired.
Yeah. So, obviously, his near-death experience and now newfound religious devotion. This is also, an excuse for his parents to get reintroduced to his life. His mother, Jackie Weaver, who, she's a realist, she's a woman with some hard-won wisdom, and she views religion as that it's people's personal choice or whatever, but these are fairy tales. These are fairy tales, Stu. You're an adult, and and do you really not want to get pussy for the rest of your life? Come on, man. And then I don't know, how do you remember how Mel Gibson reacts to his his religious conversion and his desire to join the priesthood.
They give
Yeah,
Mel Gibson
yeah.
a bunch of like Ron Swanson Reddit type speeches where he's like, "Oh, that's all this. That's the religion's all bull crap." Blah blah blah. Like everything that they say, like Father Stu and his dad say to each other, sounds like it's like some like Reddit guy trying to like write dialogue.
It's good.
At one point,
Really good.
at one point, I believe he says to Stu, he's like the world is full of fruits and nuts. So like, what's one more in the mix or something like that?
Yeah. He speaks in like idioms, like he's supposed to be like extremely wise.
Yeah, he speaks like he's reading a Facebook post off his phone at the dinner table.
Yeah.
Oh, and then also, the film makes it very clear that Papa Stu, Mel Gibson, in addition to being a construction worker and an alcoholic and an angry driver, does carry a gun with him everywhere. And it's in the glove box of his pickup truck, and then he gives the gun to Mark Wahlberg after he tells him he's going to become a priest. And he said, rather than disgrace me and your brother, why don't you do what you've always wanted to do and just kill me right now? I mean, if anything, he's acting like a Jewish mother, not an alcoholic father. He's just, why don't you kill me? Why don't you kill me like you killed your brother, becoming a priest? What's wrong with you? Why couldn't you be a doctor? Why couldn't you have gone to med school?
You just reminded. I forgot about the angry driver thing. There's a scene near the beginning with Mel Gibson in the car, and he monologues. He like a truck driver like cuts him off or something, and then he monologues through his open car window to a kid, and is like, it's these damn truck drivers that are making problems for like well-intentioned drivers like
It's
me.
so clear that Mel Gibson had that happen to him in his life and told his girlfriend,
We have to put that in the
can
movie.
we just have like something like truckers? We got to talk about this in the movie.
It's finally a movie taking a stand
He
against
uses
truckers.
this
Yeah.
slick ass like 90s cell phone to call the number on the back of the truck to report the driver's behavior. Which, yes, that's something that absolutely Mel Gibson has done.
It's so awesome, dude.
What does he say too? Like he's reading off like the thing on the back, and it's like, the number is a jabroni, dumbass,
Lesbian 3.
I would give anything to hear the recordings of Mel Gibson's messages to the "How's my driving" line.
Oh my god!
Just fucking like just breathing, shrieking, screaming racial slurs. Mel, say what you want about Mel. He knows how to give movie. He gives movie in this movie. He's the angry dad, and I hope it will carry on in the extended Father Stu extended cinematic universe. The Stu-niverse.
Universe, yeah. I will say I was hoping, and seeing it was Mel Gibson and Mark Wahlberg, I was hoping for a little bit more like late career Clint Eastwood, like crazy shit, but the movie's just so boring.
Yeah,
I was hoping for a gunfight.
Excruciating.
After the car crash and the Jesus thing, I assumed it was going to become one of those movies where he like becomes friends with Jesus and like keeps seeing Jesus and like talking to him all the time. And I was like, oh, this is going to be sick. But then he just got fat and died.
Yeah.
If he kept seeing Jesus and hanging out with him, that would have been a Protestant movie.
Yeah, that's true.
In Catholic, I mean, you only get the rare opportunity to see Jesus or his mom after a fucking van has driven over you or you're about to be hit by a car.
Yeah, you can't go to Dave and Buster's with Jesus.
So after Father Stu breaks his nice girlfriend's heart, breaks his mother and father's heart, he rejects, like I said, like as Jesus Christ commanded you, you have to reject your family to be one of my disciples. And he certainly does that and his nice girlfriend. And he applies to the seminary, for
Sounds
which
like
he is
becoming a Scientologist. You have to cut out all the negative people in your life that are telling you this is a bad idea.
he applies to the seminary and is, of course, immediately rejected. But do you think does that stop him? No, he storms right into the seminary admissions office and confronts the head of the diocese, played by
Crusty
Malcolm
old
McDowell.
Monsignor.
Yeah, Malcolm McDowell.
It's so sick the roles Malcolm McDowell has picked after
It's crazy.
Ask your Clockwork Orange in 1972.
Yeah, he's just kind of coasted on that. Like, it's like, yeah, he's a good actor and everything, but then like everything he's in is just like some sci-fi movie where he is the highest paid actor, and then like shit like this.
When your other high point is Rob Zombie's Halloween remake, it's rough.
So the Monsignor, played by Malcolm McDowell, Stu storms into the office and he's like, I see what's going on right here. God is testing me. You're testing me. You're trying to see my resolve. He's like, talking about like I never back down from fighting a black guy, a Puerto Rican guy. I'll fight a Chinese guy. If you want me to, I'll do anything for God. And then Malcolm McDowell is like, it says here you're a multiple felon. I don't think this is the best advertisement for the Catholic Church. And then what does Stu say? Totally right. He's like, maybe this is the best advertisement for the Catholic Church because, what you're putting out there right now, it's like the gay priests. It's a bunch of ass-kissing fucking fairies who are, that they're not bringing in the common man to the church anymore. And then they're like, pfft. And then he's like, look, if you really, if you're so convinced I'm going to wash out, then what harm is there in letting me have a try at it? And then he's like, you know what? Let's see what happens here, And then I like that, like the sort of college scenes of the movie. It's sort of like Revenge of the Nerd. It's like sort of like a slobs versus snobs thing.
Wait, you're my roommate? Oh, my roommate's a gay guy? Oh.
He's up at like 2 a.m. ringing bells or some shit.
Yeah.
He's practicing his bell ringing.
That's his homework.
His homework is figuring out how to move a bells back and forth. And he's keeping the gay guy up all night with it.
Look, I'm going to ring these fucking bells all night until I fucking get it. All right? You're not going to make me stop fucking ringing these bells.
Adderall so that he can hand it out communion.
It's the scene. It's the fucking the Catch-22 scene from Boogie Nights where he's just like starting. He's like, look, I got to ring these fucking bells, okay?
So, everyone thinks he's going to fail. Everyone thinks he's going to wash out of seminary school, even though basically to become a priest, what is it? Like you have to get really good at knowing how to ring a bell and then like wearing a fucking costume and handing out crackers to people. I mean, I suppose there's some reading too, because he gets more adept at, quoting scripture to deftly disarm the concerns of everyone who's like, why is this brain damaged felon trying to become a priest?
I don't know. Does he ever actually quote scripture? It seems like he just sort of riffs.
He's not read the Bible.
Okay.
The second half of the movie is him just doing like little improv riffs about how cool Jesus is.
He'll read one line. He'll read one line and then just be like, "Yeah, everyone thought Jesus sucked at first, but he was actually awesome. This was actually fucking cool."
Yeah, maybe he's not quoting scripture, but he's referencing it. He's pulling some deep cuts out to like, sort of, like I said, sort of deftly sort of brush aside the concerns of everyone who's like,
he's like, Leviticus 20.
Yeah, he does he does the thing where he's like, he walks out in front of all the people and he's like, yeah, Jesus is bad, and everyone's like, what? And he's like, badly needed, and everyone like goes crazy.
Yeah. His debut in front of the parish, and I have to return again to the suffering of Carmen, the former girlfriend. Could you imagine fucking giving up your virtue to some shithead, brain damaged ex-boxer wannabe actor who then dumps you, and then on Sunday you have to see his ass give like a fucking sermon in front of you about the importance of forgiving others,
and not just that.
Oh my god! Yeah,
rushes.
Oh, he just
it's like full Bernie Mac. It's so fucking good. He's grabbing his nuts. He's like, "You ever notice when black guys get hit in the head, they do this?"
When they go to like do Catholic Church in prison, they do the classic thing where it's like, oh, the virginal priest is not going to get through to these hardened convicts. But when Wahlberg gets up there and he's like, let me get down to your guys' level. Have you ever heard the word of God from a guy who's been hit by 50 cars?
Look, there's one motherfucker
like, yes.
I'm scared of. It's God.
Yeah, but when he gets up in front of the people, whether he's the king of homilies, and when he's in front of the people, he connects with them. Like there's the crotchety old guy who's like, "Amen." When he's like, no matter how bad you've done in your life, God is there to forgive your sins. But if you don't forgive others, he's not going to forgive you. That's the deal. And then like the people connect with it. The Malcolm McDowell's, his gamble paid off. He's got a man of the people who's willing to speak to the people about the message of the Gospels. And it's working. It's working great. He's on the road to becoming like possibly the coolest priest of all time until God gives him yet another and his biggest challenge yet while playing pickup basketball against a black guy and beating him, by the way.
The last miracle.
What's happening? Like he falls down and then they're like, okay, hey, we'll just get back up. No, he falls down again and again. His legs don't work anymore. Time to go back to the hospital. But this time, it's not simply a matter of having a car run over you. No, this time there are certain things that even doctors can't heal. This being an incurable ALS-like disease of which it's like, has basically never existed in someone under the age of 70. And they're like, yeah, you have about 3 months before you can't shit or eat food. And he's like, he's not trying to hear that,
Yeah. Something that anybody without like motorcycle induced brain damage would take as a curse from the devil. He takes it as like a true sign from God.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What I thought about this is that this is like, this is a young innocent 40-year-old man who's been creeped on by a pervert Hollywood sicko, and he tries to become a Catholic priest, and God rightfully strikes him down before he can continue the cycle of abuse. He's saving his children.
I mean, okay, like one of the first things the doctor tells him is that he can't swallow.
Yeah, and he can't, or it doesn't affect getting erect though. It's the
Oh yeah.
Well, he can top a Hollywood sicko, and that's fine. But it's just like, the muscles you need to put on a maid outfit. Well, you'll never be able to use them again.
So I mean, but is he gonna let this diagnosis stop him? No. He didn't let brain damage stop him. He didn't let a car accident stop him. He didn't let deflowering his girlfriend and then ditching her to become a priest stop him. He's not going to let this stop him. So, right before his motor functions really start to go and he gets fat as hell, he goes to his dad's trailer and, he has another sort of father and son moment of just sort of reaching out because he's trying to help his dad because he can see that his dad is an angry guy who's had a hard life and has been fighting throughout all of it, that he needs the love of Jesus Christ too, even though that he feels so far away from God's love in his absolutely squalid depression hole that he lives in.
Doesn't
and
he
then from
wake
there,
up with the gun in his hand too? Like the first shot of Mel Gibson in that is like him on the floor with a gun and a beer in his hand.
Yeah, just liquor bottles everywhere, gun in hand, looking at a photo of his dead kid and then soon to be dead kid, and just thinking, where did it all go wrong? How could God? How could God do this to me? So yeah, I think from there it's like in one scene. Like I don't even know how much time elapses, but it goes from Mark Wahlberg like still standing and talking to his dad in the trailer, and then the next scene he's like fat as hell.
Yeah,
he's fat as hell, walking with crutches, and that's when he goes to the prison and spits truth to like these hardened rapists and killers who he connects, as Felix, you said, he connects with them on their level because he's like, do you think God cares if you're a piece of shit? We're all pieces of shit. He's like, if you pick up the phone to talk to your wife, she's probably banging some other guy. Your kids, they probably wish you were dead. But God, you can call him anytime. And these guys are like, wow, damn.
He's talking to them like Larry Miller's hostage negotiator character from Best in Show, where it's like he goes in and he's like, I will fucking gouge your eye out with this thumb. I shit you not.
Yeah, he's like, shit, if my legs worked, I'd probably be in the Bloods and the Crips as well.
Yeah.
Well, this is after like he goes there with his roommate, the gay priest, and like the gay priest is like, he walks through those doors and he's shook as hell. And then he gets up there and he's like, God commands us to shine light into the darkest places. And then like immediately they're like, dark? What you mean? Because we're black or because it's scary or whatever?
Another
He's
just like out of place racial humor moment.
A little bit of both. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. And then that's where his Father Stu takes over, and
Yeah.
he raps with these hardened
Yeah,
felons.
Father Stu. Yeah, the gay priest does a misstep by using the word dark or black or whatever, and Father Stu's like, no, I know how to handle black people. I beat one in basketball. I can do this.
And yeah, from there it's just like you said, the last quarter or so of this movie is it's quite a slog, but it's basically his disease progresses and ravages his body, and then worst of all, Malcolm McDowell says you can't be a priest. Like the diocese is worried that you're going to like drool on the communion wafers and fall down, and you're just you're not projecting strength here. Like people, they want to come to church, they want to feel like exalted. They want to forget their humdrum existence, and they're not going to do that if there is some priest in a wheelchair who can't wipe his own ass up there talking to them. And he's like, he could not be any lower, And he's like, he's on his knees in the church, and he's like, why God? And then Mel Gibson, he comes after Ham calls Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson comes to the church and picks him up off the floor, which he's been prostrated himself out for days or whatever, scoops him up and takes him back home to Boston, Massachusetts. Sorry, Helena, Montana. He takes him
Boston, Montana.
Boston, Montana. He takes him home to Boston, Montana to be with family in the waning years of his life. And they're in big sky country. And, he thinks like, damn, I guess I'm never going to be a priest. And then his dad puts on a tie and he's like, son, I'm taking you to church. I'm going to get you to church on time. The car breaks down. There's no phone number for him to call and leave a expletive-filled tirade. So he breaks out the wheelchair and he pushes him to the one Catholic church in the entire state of Montana, I would imagine. And then he's like, and then who's at the church? Carmen is there dressed in all white, and he's like, oh, what? Do I get to marry her now? And they're like, no, you're marrying the church.
Yeah.
They wheel him in there, and Malcolm McDowell is there, and he's like, I talked to the diocese. They've agreed to ordain you as a priest. And it's like
They just won't let you anywhere near the communion wafer.
So this is the real emotional, climax and catharsis of the movie. And then, he's in the vestments of the priest. He's been ordained, and now he can finally take confession. And who does he take confession from? The gay priest. The gay priest confesses the sin, not of being gay, but of never really wanting to be a priest in the first place, and feeling the sin of envy, because he looked at Father Stu, who had every reason to stop being a priest, and really no reason to be a priest in the first place, but it never let him stop. He never let that stop him from becoming ordained and becoming a man of God. And then, of course, Mark Wahlberg, he gives him like a necklace of Joseph.
The same one he got before he goes into surgery.
Yeah, he gives him a necklace devoted to Joseph. Not the stepdad, the dad who stepped up. And he said, imagine how Joseph must have felt being the second most important dad ever, and never get any credit for it. So pray on Joseph while you continue to, not want to be a priest and struggle with your own sexual identity.
That's an awful scene, because it was real. I could feel that every man in the audience turned to their girlfriend and was like, he's gonna say he's gay now. Like
Yeah.
It's such a they teed it up perfectly, and they just
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that was something where they had to ADR out the gay confession at the last second.
I was on a missionary trip to Germany, and I got into Berghain.
Well, they just
I was so attracted to you, Father Stu.
Yeah,
I couldn't help myself. That's why I was trying to tear you down. I needed to stop being a priest so I could marry you.
a continuation of Mark Wahlberg's super straight, awesome Catholic guy fantasy, where he's like, yeah, even gay guys think I'm hot. But instead, he just says nothing, dude. The last act of this movie is really they're really struggling for something, because in real life, the real Father Stu, he died 1 second after the movie ended.
Yeah.
Like almost immediately.
I heard that the original confession scene was that the gay priest confesses to being gay, and then boiling hot oil starts filling the confession like a saw trap.
They say we got him, and then Father Stu hits a button.
And Father Stu was not sick at all.
Yeah.
He
It was
stands
a
up.
sting operation. I was never even a boxer. I was always a priest.
I've always been the greatest actor of all time.
And then I guess like the little coda to the movie is Mel Gibson in AA. You know, after a life of being angry at God and not believing in Him, he's finally admitted that he needs help, and he's his son wants him to get baptized. And like the last scene you see is Mel taking the first step on the road to recovery, and he's got the rosary in his hand. You know, and through the help of Jesus, he's gonna stop drinking. So yeah, and then we see the real Father Stu in the credit sequence. You know,
And I tell you, his ass is dead. But that
Yeah, I
he got
mean,
to do some
he really needed to live
feasting
like
first.
15 more years for this movie to have an ending. But
Yeah.
he did. He was a priest. He was ordained, and then he was an active priest for like a year and a half, and then he got too good at being on the floor, and they had to move him to a permanent floor in Montana, and he was on the floor until he died.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! I just remembered there's like there's a Billy Madison Sunday school scene in this.
oh yeah.
I
Oh,
forgot
yeah.
about that.
He talks to
Yeah,
kids
it's
about
implied-
porno.
Yeah, he talks to kids about porn and sex, and then it's implied that he's been going to Sunday school with like Mexican children
Yeah.
for a week.
Yeah, they're like 9 years old, and he's learning about about Lent with them
Yeah.
and teaching them about pornos. Because like one of the kids, he's like, I'm gonna give up alcohol for Lent, and then the kid's like, you should give up something that you really like. Like my dad gave up porno. And then he's like, "Oh, like your mom should give up sex." And I see how your dad. And then Carmen's like, "Nope. Next lesson, everybody, open their Bibles." And yeah, no, you're right. It was a great Billy Madison scene where he's learning about God with a 7-year-olds.
If giving up peeing your pants for Lent is cool,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Father Stu. I mean, did I forget any scenes in the movie? Were there any other moments that stood out to you guys?
Honestly, I can't remember. Terrible
Yeah.
movie. Needed more Fast and Furious car crashes. Needed
Yeah.
more Charla Nash Jesus. Needed just more stuff going on across the board. Boring as fuck. The
rough.
old guy who sat near us in the theater when we saw it fell asleep like 3 minutes in and was asleep the whole
And then
time, except for one point where he raised his hands in the air like this.
Which at the time I thought he was praising the Lord, but now I'm realizing he was waking up from a nap like a cat, and he was
Yeah, he
just
was-
stretching his arms all the way up.
no, he caught the Holy Ghost. What are you talking about?
No, he was sleeping during the diagnosis scene and was like, "Oh, wait, did that happen to me?" I need to make sure I can still like move my arms. Yeah, just an excruciating movie. As we said at the beginning, Catholic filmmaking is about 1 billion times more pretentious than the Protestant variety. I don't think a Catholic can ever make Assassins 32 AD, but I'm glad to be done with it. I have some non-Father Stu related business, but it's still a call from the Lord, similar to what Stu faced. Mary Newman, Illinoisans may know her, of Illinois' 3rd District, is in trouble. She voted against the Iron Dome, and they started an ethics investigation on her over some bullshit. I won't try to summarize it after summarizing Father Stu. That's just too much information for everyone to take in. But she needs donations. She needs help. She is one of the few good congressional reps, and Illinois always needs more of them. So please help out Mary Newman if you are so inclined.
Felix, send me the donation link, and I will put in the show description.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, gang, that does it for another trip to the movies, another trip to church, the Church of Cinema. And this is another wonderful entry into the film canon, the Chapo film canon. It's Father Stu, everybody. And then Pot About List. you boys are about
Yeah,
to go
we
on
have
the
some
road.
church for you guys to attend.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, speaking of Illinois, we're going on tour.
Yeah. You can get.
It would make us feel like assholes for plugging our tour now. Felix.
No, I think they're co-equal. Like you guys both voted against the Iron Dome.
Oh, yeah.
And they're after us too. So go to swagpoop.com/shows.
Yeah. Philadelphia,
real
DC,
URL.
Richmond, Atlanta, Fort Worth, Austin, LA, San Francisco, Chicago.
Come check us
Wow.
out. Wow.
And
Please.
Israel.
Mhm. No.
We're going to Israel. It's a June show.
Patrick is going to Israel doing a one-man show about his
Yeah.
relationship with the faith.
Well, I'm going there on birthright. I earned
Catch
it.
him there.
After seeing Father Stu, I want to convert.
to Judaism.
Yeah.